Hello. I hope everyone can hear me. Hello. I hope everyone can hear me. So, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the seventh episode of Wednesdays for Waste Warriors. And my waste, my responsibility. Waste warriors from all across India. And we are trying to highlight the expertise that they bring in. And here is Avinash. Avinash, welcome. Are
Yeah,
you
good evening.
Yes. So Avinash is joining from the place that we're going to talk about, the special thing about the place. And Avinash, welcome. So good to have you here.
Thank you. Thank you so much for inviting me on today's discussion.
Oh, it's we want to tell the innovations happening around us, and I guess I was fortunate to be part of that presentation, but not everyone gets a chance because people don't people don't talk about it or discuss this as in classrooms or in your daily discussions or chats. So that's why I feel that it's important to bring in whatever the latest updated engineering wonders, and you can talk more about it. So guys, I will introduce Avinash to you. Avinash Narayanaswamy is at present in Bangalore. Are you from Bangalore, Avinash?
Yeah, I'm pretty much from Bangalore.
Okay, so Avinash is from Bangalore, and he has been, the Earth warrior for a long time. He has also been to Antarctica on an expedition, and I will be privileged to let Avinash introduce himself. Over to you, Avinash.
Yeah. Thank you, Madam Anuja. Thing is, I have been pursuing the field of sustainable energy and the various parallel terms associated with environmental protection for over 15 years now. I did my first. I have a bachelor's in chemical engineering from RV College here in Bangalore, and then I have two international master degrees, both from the University of Twente from sustainable energy technology, and the second one is in environmental and energy management. And I also have three other degrees, one in rural entrepreneurship from Ghana in Western Africa, and then a course on planetary boundaries from the Stockholm Institute in Sweden, and then to do with environmental protection from the Columbia University from the US. So all these degrees that I have acquired over the years have taught me only one thing, that uh, you need to be the change, rather than expecting that the world is going to change. It's going to happen if you don't change. So wherever I go, I visit a lot of universities and colleges, both within Bangalore and beyond. And all these years, I've been advocating that the change has to be you. Like you say, your waste is your responsibility. Now, if you have to do that, it's when you can stand on the stage and tell 10 more people that you need to do this, 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 and this.
Yeah.
So, uh, I mean, I like to walk the talk. I have been to 30 plus countries, and mostly related to environment related issues, or learning environment, or strengthening environment, knowledge related to environment. So, uh, in this regard, uh, the first vertical I would like to talk about, or the only vertical as far as this conversation is concerned today, is biodiesel. In fact, as I speak to you, I'm seated in a biodiesel powered car, the very same car that you saw, madam, in
Yeah.
at the Punawala Smart City in Pune, and
Mm-hmm.
this has been uh, literally going all around the place with a lot of stickering on the car with messages saying that we have only one planet we call home, and it's in our hands to ensure that we pass it on to the next generation the way it should be. Uh, at the moment, we are literally
Yeah.
incapacitating the planet's ability to rejuvenate and recuperate so as to provide clean air, clean food, and clean water, the basic necessities for any species to survive in this world. So, biodiesel, I'll just quickly come to this. I've been collecting waste cooking oil from several hotels and restaurants in Bangalore and also the outskirts of the city. And I converted into a diesel-like fuel, which is called biodiesel. And if
Mm-hmm.
you see the technical terminology for biodiesel or the definition for that, it's a fatty, for those who are in chemistry, so it's an ester. It's a fatty acid methyl ester, which
Mm-hmm.
is obtained by the uh, and the source oil could be of plant or animal origin. So that's the very same process I am also following. I have a very small reactor, at my workplace. That is my own company, by the way. And at times, if I do feel that I need to produce bigger quantities, then I visit the University of Agricultural Sciences in Nepal, where I, produce slightly bigger quantities, 300, 200, and this process takes about 3 to 3.5 hours. And the raw material that I have been using all these years is waste cooking oil. In our country, waste cooking oil should be seen as a blessing because it has the ability to change the clean energy sector in our country drastically. So wherever you have a huge urban establishment, you're bound to have food outlets, and if you have food outlets, you're bound to have frying. And if you have frying, you're likely to generate a lot of waste cooking oil. And in the Western world, waste cooking oil is is actually uh, collected in a very very strict way. Not to be
Mm-hmm.
used. Fresh oil should not be used more than 3 times post frying. But here in our country, there's no situation, even though the government has been pretty strict that you should not use your oil more than 3 times. But from the look of things and from the kind of oil that I've been collecting from several hotels, it doesn't look like they have fried it or used the oil 3 times. It's much more than that. Uh, I'll be showing you a
Mm-hmm.
sample of biodiesel, the color of biodiesel I'm getting. The color of the biodiesel depends on the color of the oil that you procure.
Mm-hmm.
So you're not going to change
Mm-hmm.
the oil in any way. Uh, However, what changes is the chemical structure, the properties.
So,
And,
uh,
yeah, and so this process takes about 3 hours, 3 to 3.5 hours,
mm-hmm.
and you just need a 50 to 55 degrees temperature. You don't. It's not a very high temperature process, and you use methanol as the alcohol which splits the oil molecule into the triglyceride backbone, and then you attach the hydroxyl group to it to give you glycerine, with
Mm-hmm.
which you make soaps. The
Mm-hmm.
biodiesel is filtered and washed with water
Mm-hmm.
so as to remove any ion solar impurities. And what you're left with, and then you boil it at 120 degrees to remove any residue. And
Okay.
thereby you end up with high quality and high purity biodiesel, which of course I get it tested at the University of Agricultural Sciences. And only when I see that it is approved, I start using it in my car. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
so this whole takes about 4 to 5 and maybe even up to 6 hours, depending on the quality of oil that you procure. And yeah, and you don't need much of labor. One person is good enough to do this whole process. And you
Mm-hmm.
use an
Mm-hmm.
uh, catalyst, sodium or potassium hydroxide, which helps in aiding the forward reaction of the reactants into products. And so this basically gets retained in your glycerine, and a part of it also gets retained in your biodiesel. And wash it off with water. All the sodium hydroxide elutes into your water phase and gives you high
Mm-hmm.
purity. So this is a very, very technical process, but
Technical.
anyone,
Mhm.
layman can do, uh, as long as you understand what each reactant is doing, and then yeah, you're good enough to use this fuel in your car or in your genset or in your pump set. If you're in the villages, you can use it in your pump sets. And unfortunately, this biodiesel can be used only in diesel compatible infrastructure. It cannot be used in gasoline or kerosene based infrastructure. So there is a limitation as far as biodiesel is concerned. There are other limitations as well, which I'll probably list as I go. So for now, this is what biodiesel is all about, and maybe the next discussion.
So, would you like to? I know that when you'll be showing us the car from outside, there may be a little, glitch or something, but we would still like to take a chance and show our audience, the participants who've joined today, how is this wonderful, you know, car, but as ours. Do you think it's possible?
Great. Yeah, I think it's pretty much possible. I was in another work, and so thankfully I got the car along, and so I'll just show you a live, video of the car, and also the
Yeah.
biodiesel that I've got for the sake of this presentation, and also I'll pour it into the car for people to know that exactly yes, this car is actually being powered on biodiesel, but not completely biodiesel, but as a blend, because I use 30% of biodiesel and 70% of petroleum diesel. And for people's knowledge, biodiesel and diesel are compatible in any ratio, and there is no relation whatsoever. Both are, and which is car wants at the end of it. So I'll just move out of the car and I'll just show you around with all the stickering and all the messaging that's there on this car.
Okay.
Just a second.
Sure.
Let's just disconnect this. Then I'll step out.
So let me give a background until then. In August, when he had started his journey, like a national tour kind of a thing, and from Bangalore he started with his biodiesel car, and he came to Pune. After this, he went to Jaipur, Delhi, Kanpur, Lucknow, and also went to Northeast, everywhere in this car. So that's how I came to know about what he was doing. And here you get a chance to look at the car. The internet can be a little patchy, but then if you pay attention, you will be able to. Thank you so much, uh, Avinash, for going out of the way and doing this for everyone who's joined. I'm sure they're excited.
Anything for Mother Nature, madam. Anything for her.
That's true. This will be inspiring because you said that even farmers can use it for their pumps, and so we have a lot of from Punjab we have a few farmers who've joined this live, and I'm sure they will be happy to learn about this, because anything that goes waste, and if any part of it, any portion of it, if we can reuse without any machinery and setting up a factory, we should look into that and try, adopting that technology.
Yeah, I mean, if you have a good source of oil, plant-based oil, to be specific, then I think there is no reason why you cannot, produce your own fuel.
Mhm.
Of course, there are limitations because you need to take a permit. I don't have, because I produce in. If you're going for slightly larger quantities, then you need to seek a kind of a flammable permit, because the methanol that you use to
So,
make biodiesel uh, is comes under the flammable material category. So basically, what you need to do is get a permit from the central government, and I believe that's available. You need to visit the flammable, or is it the Department for flammable substances in Nagpur, in Maharashtra. That's
Mm-hmm.
where you probably visit and get the permit. Of
Mm-hmm.
course, there's a huge procedure which I'm not really clearly aware of.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I can always share whatever information I have or connect with the right people to ensure that farmers can go a step further in setting up their own unit and then start producing biodiesel.
Yeah.
And yeah.
We support our farmers are saying that we'll definitely want to learn more about this. So we can have a separate session for people who want to know the technicalities. And now people have seen the car from outside. Are you going to show the pouring process or what?
Yeah. I'll do that. No, of course, of
Okay.
course. Nothing is
Okay, so
complete.
guys, now Avinash is going to be pouring the biodiesel, the plant oil based the waste oil that he's converted into fuel into the car, and there's only one tank, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's one common tank. You don't have two different tanks, one with biodiesel and the other one with diesel, and then they get mixed. No, not at your tank. It's one single tank, and you first put biodiesel in your car, and then you go to the pump, and then when you add petroleum diesel, it mixes really well in your tank, and then you're good to go. So this is how biodiesel looks. Of course, this color can change, like I told you a few minutes ago. The color of this fuel entirely depends on the color of the oil that you get.
Mm-hmm.
So if you get a darkish oil, which means that the frying has been pretty intense, you will get a much darker shade of biodiesel. But luckily, I've got a good oil from a restaurant. Probably they are pretty conscious about their customers, and so they're this is the standard color, straw color. We call this a straw color in English. So this is how biodiesel usually is.
Mm-hmm.
So now I'll just pour this into the
Mm-hmm.
car. You need to bear with me for a minute while I set up the whole pouring process. So in the meanwhile, yeah,
Okay.
feel free to ask me any questions. Hopefully, I should be in a position to answer. If not, I can always refer and come back.
You
Yeah.
can focus on that. We do have participants from Nagpur as well, so
Okay.
we can put them on the research part key, find out about this organization that gives you the certification, and they
Okay.
can help us.
Great. So this is the funnel that I use.
Okay, so
It goes
here
straight.
you go. He's putting the
Okay.
funnel.
And then we have normal screening filters. So 5 microns, 10 microns.
Do you
So
have an assistant, Avinash?
sorry.
You're holding the phone. Do you have an assistant? You're holding the phone for the
Right
video.
now,
You are doing this, pouring
right,
yourself, everything. So too
right.
much.
No, right now I'm a one-man army, so I'm somehow managing God's grace. So yeah, so this is the fuel. Yeah, and here I go.
Yeah.
You need to take ample care that you put at least 3 filters, because when you produce biodiesel, there's going to be a lot of dust around in the reactor and in your can and whatnot. So that can clog your fuel filters, and eventually, of course, they do get clogged because of diesel and biodiesel deposition. Diesel by itself is a very dirty fuel, and all of us are aware of that it's the dirtiest hydrocarbons around. So it is likely to leave a lot of deposit in the in the tank and in the fuel line, and that's why when you get your diesel car clean, you'll exactly know what I mean. So when you use a blend of biodiesel and diesel, what happens is the carbon that was eventually deposited along the inner lining, that tends to dissolve, because biodiesel has the solvating capability. It's actually a solvent. It's an ester. All solvents tend to dissolve anything they come across with, especially if it's a carbon-based material. So this carbon that is inside the walls of the lining of your fuel tank or your fuel lines, so that starts coming off, usually goes and blocks your fuel filter, which is what I've encountered very often. So that's why a biodiesel blend power car you usually change the fuel filter every 5 to 6,000 kilometers. So yeah, so I just poured now close to a liter
Mm-hmm.
of in the car, and I'll just start the car to show you the kind of emissions that emanate from the exhaust pipe. And by the way, from the exhaust pipe, whatever carbon is deposited, from that I make my shoe polish. You can see my shoe polish. I make shoe polish. You can see it. Yeah.
Avinash, I am so impressed, and so are all the viewers. Amazing.
I just tried out something, and I'm not saying that it's as good as your kiwi blossom or your cherry shoe polish, but I think it's working fine for me. So
That's
I'll
all
just
right,
start the car now.
because the road to sure. The road to zero waste is full of adventures, and I'm glad you're already on that.
There you go. The car has started.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now just show you the emission. It isn't much. Uh, Please bear in mind this is a Bharat Stage 2 engine. So
Okay.
you have now is a BS6. So the kind of carbon you see in the exhaust in this vehicle, you wouldn't find in the current generation of cars. So
Mm-hmm.
a blessing in disguise. This carbon is still being put to some good use as of now.
Yeah.
So
So how do
yeah,
you collect it?
yeah. So all I use is a kind of, I just tap it off.
Mm-hmm.
There's a kind of tap here which has come
Mm-hmm.
with the exhaust pipe. So I
Okay.
just tap it and I collect it in a small, piece of paper. Sometimes I
Mm-hmm.
even spoon if I'm not able to reach it with my bare hands. Of
Mm-hmm.
course, if I use my bare, this carbon soot is organic. It's an organic carbon, so it sticks to, and you need soap. It wouldn't just go away by rubbing your hands off. So I collect this and I mix a little bit of wax, and then I have a shoe polish which I've been using for the past 2 months, and the shoe seems to be soft enough, so it's working fine.
That's good.
You don't see much of emissions, which is what biodiesel does. Biodiesel acts as an aid for better. Diesel by itself
Mm-hmm.
is not a good fuel in terms of combustion. That's why the fumes or the exhaust is generally blackish compared to your gasoline powered cars or a gasoline engine. So
Mm-hmm.
in terms of the term, this is pretty good for a BS2. And by the way, this car has been running on 30% biodiesel blend for, let me just see the reading. I purchased this car at 1,02,000. So it's about 75,000 kilometers, if I can read it, somewhere close to slightly more than 70, almost 76,000 kilometers on various blends of biodiesel, but predominantly we have been using B30. B30, B stands for biodiesel.
Mm-hmm.
30 means the percentage of diesel in the blended composition.
Mm-hmm. That's good.
So
That's
this is a
good.
little bit. Let me try and raise the car. I do not know if you can see it because, yeah, there you see. You see the exhaust?
Yeah.
That is because any vehicle, even if you take a BS6, if you do raise it to a slightly more extent, you need to pump more fuel to give out that much of power. So
Mm-hmm.
you will have some blastings, but not as much as what you saw now, because this is a BS2 engine. So you don't expect it to perform emission-wise as good as your BS6 engine. So that was a little bit
This
of
vehicle,
practicality.
no. Do you mean to say that the emissions for this vehicle, because it is an older model, the emissions are high?
Yes,
Okay.
yes. As you
So
go lower in your BS, because I think this Bharat standard started somewhere in the early 2000 or late 90s, if I'm not wrong. So it started with BS1, BS2,
yeah.
BS3, and then today we are at BS6, where the norms are very, very stringent in terms
Yeah.
of your CO, in terms of your NOx, in terms of your SOx. NOx means the oxides of nitrogen. SOx are the sulfur, that is your NSO3,
Yes.
and this could be your nitric oxide, that is NO, nitrous oxide, N2O, nitrogen dioxide, NO2. and nitrogen pentoxide N2O5. So all these gases are always available as traces in especially diesel engines. Why? Because in diesel engines, the temperature inside is far greater than what you get in petrol engine. And at such high temperatures, the nitrogen, the engine takes in air from the outside, which is basically 79% nitrogen. So that nitrogen at such high temperatures combines with the oxygen to give you oxides of nitrogen. That's the the concept behind why diesel engines usually have higher NOx. Uh, and as far as biodiesel is concerned, there's a huge drawback. Well,
Mm-hmm.
I do not feel bad in saying it. The NOx is always high because higher compared to petroleum diesel because biodiesel is an oxygenated hydrocarbon. So what that does is it basically adds to the temperature inside your engine. And so when you have higher temperatures in your engine, you have more NOx formation. So basically NOx is formed at around 800 degrees centigrade in your engine. So that's why a lot of research is being done to ensure that the engine temperatures do not exceed 800, and that's how you reduce NOx. One of your norms in BS6. So since this is a pretty old engine, about 20 years old, you don't expect it to perform high in terms of the emission quality.
So, I'm also a warrior mom, and we are mothers for clean air. So, um, would you advise that people who want to convert to biodiesel, um, they should go for the newer versions of the car, uh, which will be less polluting, or like, what is your take on that? Like, someone
Uh,
buys a new diesel car, like let's
yes.
say, and they want also to be the conscious people who do not want to, but because of many other factors, they bought a diesel car, let's say
Okay.
petrol car, and they want to also run on biodiesel. So, will it be less polluting if it is a BS6 or 5?
First of all, we cannot use biodiesel in petrol or gasoline powered engine. It's not possible. The reason
Okay.
being, biodiesel doesn't mix with gasoline at all. You probably need to add another mixing additive to make the two fuels blendable. So as of now, still work is going on as to see how you can add biodiesel to gasoline and get the kind of results that you want.
Mm-hmm.
So that's for another day. But coming to diesel cars, even though the government is talking about phasing out diesel
Yeah.
powered trucks and cars, I believe that's not possible, at least in the near future, because 60% of the country's fleet is diesel powered. So, and that's billions of dollars of investment, or okay, billions of rupees in investment. So
Yes.
it's not going to be possible to just come out of nowhere and pass a statement that okay, from tomorrow there's going to be no more diesel powered cars available. That's incorrect, and that's not likely to happen, at least in my opinion, in the next decade. Maybe after that, yes,
Mhm.
as that phase, yes, no doubt diesel engines have to be phased out because they're much more polluting than your petrol engines. So in that sense of the term, yes, there is an opportunity. However, you need to be a little bit cautious here. It's not that everything is hunky dory with this car. I have
Mhm.
had problems. Uh, I'll just now list some of the demerits associated with biodiesel, and then I'll
Mhm.
list the merits, actually outweigh the
Mhm.
demerits. The
Mhm.
first demerit is that a biodiesel is a solvent, and so if you have any rubber parts in your car, you're likely to end up with some leakages going forward. So you need to ensure that you change your rubber parts to in something. You get silicone rubber in the market, which is biodiesel resistant, and so that is something that can be done. Point number two is if you have metallic parts which are there in this car, then it undergoes rusting. Biodiesel has an ability to rust faster.
Oh.
Well, you use the term rust only for iron, but when I say rust, it degrades the surface of metals such as copper, aluminium, zinc, uh, and iron. Predominantly iron, and we know that most of the parts in cars are iron or iron alloy based. So thankfully, in today's generation cars, pure metals are no longer used, and you have
Yeah.
alloys. Alloys are always resistant to any kind of corrosion, whether it's a solvent attack or an acid attack or moisture or whatever it may be. So in that sense of the term, I think biodiesel is pretty safe in today's cars. This car is pretty new, so I do have problems with rusting. So I'm trying to find a solution for that. Is trying to see if I can line the inner walls of my fuel tank, which is pure iron. It's not even steel. It's iron based. And as a result, I do have very mild rusting as I speak in the tank of. And what happens is eventually the metal gets eaten away, and then you start having leakages in your car. Point number one. Point number two is you have to go on changing your fuel filter, because all the rust goes and gets accumulated in the fuel filter. And if you don't change it, then it impacts your fuel pump. And if your fuel pump gets impacted, then your fuel injectors get impacted. And as a result, your car eventually stops. And the damage is pretty high. And so that's why it's recommended that for your old cars, you keep changing your fuel filter every 4,000 to 5,000 kilometers. Now, the other drawback of biodiesel is that it gives out more NOx compared to normal diesel fuel. So that is something you really need to take care of. That you can do engine temperatures, and I believe the newer generation cars are built for that, and not the old generation car. And with using biodiesel, your emission qualities are far better in terms of carbon monoxide, in terms of soot. Like I told you earlier, biodiesel, this is a merit, but it comes in the demerit in the sense that there is very high NOx. So you have less other tailpipe emission. Now, the other third drawback of biodiesel is raw material procurement. In a country as vast as India, with over close to 1.4 billion people, there's a huge potential for collecting waste oil, especially, and converting it into biodiesel. However, logistics that are put in place for biodiesel is pretty weak, pretty poor. Unlike bioethanol, which is given very strong, push and momentum by the central government, the same is lacking as far as biodiesel is concerned. So, in that regard, I feel that the policies need to be put in place to ensure that there's a huge trust for biodiesel. So that's actually still a demerit. The last demerit of biodiesel is when you start using biodiesel in your car, your automobile manufacturer no longer gives you a warranty on your engine parts. So once again, that's a policy-related issue. This car, if anything happens to it, I think I have to raise up the hand and say I'm the culpable, or I'm culpable, and I need to dish out money to ensure that this car is back to it. So no auto manufacturer is going to agree that आपने biodiesel use किया. Sorry sir, हम कुछ नहीं कर सकते. This is the answer they're going to give you. So this is a very serious drawback which is hindering people in using this fuel in their respective cars. No matter how beautiful or how nice the fuel may look, it boils down to conducive for its use. Now coming to these are the demerits. So if you want, I can mention the merits. India, you want me to mention the merits, ma'am, or do I stop here?
There is a question that I have. When there are demerits, as in even when your service station staff will not be helpful, and you'll have to dole out the money yourself for any repairs or servicing. What will be the inspiration or motivation point for someone to still, despite all the demerits, adopt this technology?
The answer lies in the merits.
Let's go there.
The merits outweigh your demerits. That's why this fuel has to be used. First of all, anyone who loves the country will ensure that they move to a fuel which can be produced in the country. So this is completely within the Make in India narrative as far as the Prime Minister is concerned. So this is truly an Indian fuel because all the raw materials you need are available within the country borders. You're not importing your crude oil like we do from Russia or Saudi Arabia or Iraq or whatever. So this is truly an Indian fuel, and so I feel proud in wearing the tricolor on my jersey wherever I go, because I feel I'm not fighting at the country's borders. Neither am I growing crops to feed the millions. The least that I can do is promote capacity building as far as clean fuel usage is concerned. So in that sense, biodiesel is definitely a big thumbs up. The second thing is, you give job opportunities to your people, which is a big thing in our country. So I have a small workforce who are working the biodiesel sector in a small way, by the way, but still, it's better than nothing. So you improve that kind of a working environment as far as biodiesel is concerned. Point number three, the emissions are far better compared to petroleum diesel. To take it as a standalone case, 100% biodiesel powered engine and 100% diesel powered engine, and when you compare the emissions, the carbon monoxide is far less. All of us know carbon monoxide is a very toxic gas. It can kill. The SOx emission are, of course, you don't have sulfur in diesel, and neither do you have it in biodiesel. But yeah, in cases where you have sulfur diesel, then once again the biodiesel beats diesel in terms of the quality of emissions. Soot, particulate matter, all these are also far less compared to diesel. That's once again because biodiesel burns much more cleanly compared to petroleum diesel. So these are some of the major merits. So a cleaner environment, all of us are talking about getting clean air as a high priority. So when you place that up there, then you know where biodiesel exactly stands. So in that sense of the term, I think biodiesel is the big thumbs up.
Thank you for sharing that. And let me tell you, we have a lot of questions. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's just combine a few questions and ask you. What is the process by which we can convert the cooking oil in biodiesel is one, and you had spoken about it, and I guess it's a very technical process. So for those who would want to learn the process or know about the process, please DM us and we will organize a session with Avinash. Then another question from Samita is, how much does it cost to set up the unit for reusable diesel?
Okay.
So, what is the cost? And another person is asking, what is the cost of conversion to biodiesel?
Okay. The reason why I did not give the price of biodiesel. Sorry, ma'am, you were saying something?
No. People are asking about the cost to set up that.
Correct. See, capital we call it as a capex. That depends on the kind of quantity that you want as your output. So I have basically I have a 75-liter reactor, and that cost me about 8, 9 years, 10 years ago, roughly $1.5 lakh. So in today's currency, I do not know. It could be much higher, owing to very high raw material costs. The cost of steel, metals have all gone up. City plant. I'm just talking. It could be anywhere between 4 to 5 lakhs, I believe. And then you need a shed. You need a place. So if you include all these, then it completely depends, madam. I can only give you the cost of the machinery. It could be anywhere between 4 to 5 lakhs. But I think at higher capacities, we all know that the pricing does come down at our bag. So it's not increase like that, but there is a drop. So it's something like that. I mean, if you're looking at a 1 ton per day plant, I think it'll be roughly around maybe around 30 lakhs or 35 lakhs, like that. But
so
higher tonnage, you need more space.
I think if it is done,
sorry, ma'am, I'm not able to get you.
I think there's a lag, but what I was saying is, if people do it on a community level, then it will be sustainable for everyone.
Correct. I've not heard of a community model anywhere. I think in Karnataka, there was this Karnataka biofuel program, wherein which they wanted to set up a biodiesel production unit in a cluster of villages. But course, when you have a cluster of villages, each village thinks differently, and in a village, people think differently among
Yeah.
themselves. So it's very difficult to get all people on the same platform at the same time, thinking about the same thing or in the right direction. So what is right direction for me needn't be right direction for you. So it's really
Yeah.
quite a daunting ask if you want to set up a community based, unless people are all inclined that yes. Hello.
Yeah. Now I can hear you.
Yeah. So what I was saying is, time is running out, and here when I say time is running out, we are literally at the edge of a climate crisis, and with glaciers melting alarmingly in the polar regions, I think we don't have much time to go on procrastinating, saying that कल करेंगे नहीं तो बाद में करेंगे करना है तो अभी करना है तो I mean there is no other way out, and if each person can make this contribution just by doing that switch and then acting accordingly, then I think we'll go a long way in achieving our sustainable SDG goals. So that's the way it should be. Regarding this community level, I'm really not sure how it's going to work. But yeah, I mean, who knows? It has to start somewhere, isn't it? And
Yeah.
well, if it's in my country, nothing like.
I was thinking like you have all these lots of restaurants and lots of cloud kitchens and all these people. So if they form a group and if they start doing it, this reusing of oil, then at least they can maybe sustain their own vehicles for delivery. It can become a circular thing. Like you produce that oil and you use it for delivery, something like that.
You see,
But
if you see, there's a company called Aris Bioenergy, who are our title sponsors for the recently held India Nepal biodiesel expedition. They are doing a fantastic job of collecting oil from several homes, apartment complexes. So I think what I will do is I will share their contact details. So people who are really willing to contribute their oil rather than dumping it down the drain, or even for that matter, reusing it again and again till it eventually gets over, you rather reach out to these people who are also earth warriors in a very big way. Aris Bioenergy has been collecting several thousands of tons of waste cooking oil. I believe in Bangalore they are collecting close to 25, 30, or maybe even higher, 30,000 kgs of oil on a regular basis. And they have a huge plant coming somewhere in the outskirts of Bombay. This is what I know back then, but I do not know the exact status as of now. But I would be more than happy to share their details. And for those people who want to reach out to them, please feel free to do so. It'll be nice to know their kind of model, which I feel is covering every nook and corner of our country in collecting waste cooking oil and converting it to bio. So I think that's a great initiative Aris Bioenergy has taken.
Yeah, and I think you gave me a good idea. Maybe I'll invite Aris in one of the upcoming episodes because they can talk about it.
Yeah. Always happy to do that.
Yes. We have another question. Pardon me?
See, biodiesel, the price of biodiesel here in Bangalore, diesel costs about 88 rupees. And biodiesel, the production cost is around 78 rupees. So you may say, wow, it's 10 rupees cheaper. But please bear in mind, biodiesel, the calorific value of biodiesel is about 10 to 15% lesser compared to your petroleum diesel. So whatever benefit you made in terms of saving the cost savings, you eventually lose on your mileage. So it's more or less even Stevens at the end of
it. There's a question from Mayur Patil. Won't the new electric vehicles make an impact on this field of science?
Okay, coming to the field of electric, there's a very, very interesting thing. If you take the whole expanse of India, we are actually electricity negative, in the sense our demand, is much more than the supply. That's why you have blackouts and electricity not being there in some of the cities, load shedding. You have different terminologies that we have all come across. Why is this happening? Because you're not able to meet the demand of your population. Now, in that kind of scenario, if you're going to have electric two-wheelers, which are going to eat away into already a much smaller piece of pie that you have, basically what you're doing is you're making things even more difficult. Yes, the running emissions for electric vehicles is practically zero, which is great, which is fabulous. I too have two electric two-wheelers. In fact, I have three. Even my wife has one. So basically, we are charging this to the rooftop solar. So my ideology is, if you want an EV, you should have a rooftop PV. So when you generate your own power, that's when it makes sense. Because if you're going to draw already from a very, very overburdened power grid, I'm sorry, that's not the right way to go about. Point number one. Point number two is, you also need to understand that India is coal country. So most of our power is the power that we get is from coal. So basically, you burn coal, you generate electricity, and then you charge your electric two-wheeler. So this is not going to be carbon negative at all. It's in fact carbon positive. So the best way to do it is, you take the sun's power, which is limitless, infinite. So you use that power and you charge your two-wheeler, and then you go about. So what happens is, you're truly you're actually making your entire carbon cycle very, very less intense. So that's what I'm trying to say over here.
Yes.
So if you want an EV, go for a rooftop PV.
I completely agree with you, and that's what I say, that if you are if you're buying an electric vehicle and using the dirty coal electricity to charge it, you are not making any impact. Because remember, they have mined for your car, and gotten all those the minerals, and then there will be recycling, and we don't know, we are not very sure about it. How will it happen? So there are lots of points. Any new technology comes with lots of questions and, what ifs and all those things. But I have a quick question about the latest patent that you got about the car rooftop, rain harvesting. I'm very interested if you can tell us like a brief thing, so that maybe we can cover that in the next episode, or we'll invite you again to talk about that.
Yeah. This is actually this came about while we were doing that biodiesel expedition across India and Nepal. It was raining heavily outside, and there was no drinking water in our bottles. So I was just wondering, how foolish can we be as humans? There's plenty of water outside, and then we say there is no water to drink. So this just flashed in my mind, saying that, why shouldn't we have a harvesting unit at the top of the car? So while we drive, we collect the water, which anyway, all of us know that rainwater is the purest form of water available. So just collect that water and pass it through a series of filters, which anyway I'm going to develop. And then that water is pretty much potable. So this came out of while that expedition was on, and I spoke about this to my driving or my expedition partner, and then he helped me design because he's from the design background. So I gave him the inputs, and he gave out the skeletal, drawings of this, and then eventually it got approved by the patent office. So that's where it all begins, and I think, this car is definitely going to have one such unit, and it's part of my PhD too. So it's two birds with one stone. So yeah.
That's amazing.
Time, if it rains pretty well, you should be able to collect about 20 to 25 liters of water, which should keep you going for easily, if you are, say, 3 or 4 people, easily for 2 days.
Yeah.
Easily for 2 days. You're just going to go on sipping water. So otherwise it's pretty good. Yeah.
Yes, I really hope that the RTO allows that, because I've recently seen and heard that many RTOs in our country, they don't even allow for the carrier on top. They've stopped, giving permissions for that for some reason.
Yeah.
And so I am keeping my fingers crossed that this rooftop rainwater harvesting system gets a nod, because it is important. We are wasting rainwater. Every drop is important. So it's a very innovative idea, and it should get all the support that the ministry can, and the people who are in the decision-making chairs understand that someone is just trying to be innovative and help. the water crisis.
Correct. Because otherwise, what would have happened? You would stop by at a shop, pick up a Bisleri or an Aquafina. Again, you're going to, trash more and more plastic. And to make that 1 liter of Aquafina, you need to spend 1.5 liters of water, because these are all RO treated, and we know what's the damage RO is causing to the environment. So, I mean, there are so many things that you tick along the way by having such a kind of a system. And as far as the RTO is concerned, I think they'll also come along when they understand the water shortages, which is going to hit all of us straight on the face as I speak. This year is going to be the hottest year ever. Every year is becoming hotter than the previous one. So it's just a matter of time before something gives in somewhere.
See, next week, UN will have its first water conference. Until now, UN has never had a water conference. But Dr. Rajendra Singh, who's the waterman of India, is going to be there, and they're spending 1 week, about 10 days, talking to all the countries, including the UN, and giving presentations about this, how to mitigate the flood and drought situation, because water is the common actor in both situations. And he's repeatedly said that the Third World War will be for water. So we all know it, we've heard it, we've read it, and it's a repeat telecast of the same thing that we've heard it already. So I guess it's important that now we take a stand and we start doing things, because all these conferences and all these meetings and seminars will happen, and when they don't have any single-use plastic water bottle on their table, only then I have a little faith that yes, this meeting might go somewhere. Otherwise, when you go to corporations and collectors' office and you see all these 500 ml bottles, I completely do not buy any of the points they say, because if someone is drinking from a plastic bottle, how can the person ever have, a serious mindset to tackle climate change and the pollution that we are facing? And again, I was listening to your Swedish interview today, where you mentioned all these points about the plastic, about the meat production, about the waste generation, and it all makes sense, because one thing leads to the other, and if we don't spend or make a decision mindfully, then it is our responsibility. And that's what my waste, my responsibility is all about. Telling people, reminding them that, listen, if you are even eating a banana, use that banana peel as a resource. Don't just throw it away. Use it for compost. You can make fertilizer out of it. You can do a lot. So,
Just started with that. We are making excellent compost from I'm collecting from 3-4 homes as to just start off with, because I know where exactly it's going. It's going into landfills, and all of us know that landfills contribute about 12% to the world's global methane emissions. And methane is a deadly greenhouse gas. It warms the planet 28 times faster than CO2. So I think we have our backs to the wall, and the greatest threat to all of us as a species is someone else is going to do it. Who's this someone?
No.
You always look up to someone else who's going to do it when you have made the trash, you have done everything. So someone else will do it. Who is this someone else? Who's going to raise the hand? So that's why I like your topic, saying that my waste, my responsibility, and it's pretty apt, your title. And I think if all of us follow this, the climate crisis is going to be a thing of the past. But if we just go about as business as usual, which anyway all of us are doing, so and I feel that it's just yet another day and yet another talk. So I want all of us to understand that we are in this together, and if we go on procrastinating, then the end is not far off. So if we want to ensure that we hand over the planet to our future generations the way it should be, then we start acting now.
Exactly. We must think of the future generation, because somebody was in a recent conference. Somebody was saying that we talk as if we own the earth, but we don't own the earth. We have taken this as a loan for our, we're on loan. So it's for our future generations. I have 2 children. I have so many nieces and nephews and friends' children. I just look at them that after we are gone, will they fight like this for what we are fighting for? Or will they just be so done with it because they have, the climate anxiety that's troubling them, that's bothering them, their careers, their health, everything is at stake. So it's really a very sad scene for them. We did not have to struggle so much. We were literally like Barack Obama says, and I really quote this everywhere, that we are the first generation who are witnessing this climate, global warming and climate change, and we are the last generation that can do something about it. So we've seen it all, how the packets came to school and the plastic was introduced, and now we can see how landfills are burning. It has been days. Delhi landfills have burned for weeks. Now Kerala landfill is burning. It's been like 10 days, and it's happening everywhere. So you're right. We have to take the responsibility.
The bottom line is we are undermining the very ability of Mother Nature to provide us the basic ingredients that we need to survive in this world. And when you do that, you're hitting yourself in the foot. And that's what I tell everywhere, wherever I visit, colleges, universities, corporate discussion. The writing is very much clear on the wall. You cannot have a plastic bottle of water, you drink from it, and then you talk the jargon about climate change. It doesn't make sense at all. So you need to walk the talk.
Yes.
There is no tomorrow. So, as Swami Vivekananda said, there is no tomorrow. You do it now.
Yeah.
That's it.
Exactly. I'm so glad that we had this conversation, because everyone who was listening and watching, they are so excited. And Anviti says, of course, thank you so much for this wonderful session. Much more additional information. So I guess we'll have another session soon, maybe when you get more details about the rooftop rainwater harvesting. And maybe we'll also invite Aris, and people can get more information about how do they collect the waste oil and such details. And let's say if people want to have a session with you, Avinash, would you be available for a Zoom session or something to guide people?
Yes, of course. Anytime, like I said, anytime for a good cause, I'm always there. But this needs to be intimated to me well in advance.
Of course.
Because I myself, I will be the very next minute, so like that. So if I can be, told well in advance, then we can have another very interactive session.
We'll do that. Thank you very much. Thank you so much, and really appreciate. All the best. Good luck to you. More success, more power. Take care, Avinash.
Thank you. Thank you.
And
Thank you so much, man.
If we have any last words for our, people who are watching, what should be the takeaway? Please go ahead.
Yeah, I will just share. I have 30 points that all of us can follow. Very, very simple. 30 points if we can follow, I think we can easily reduce our carbon footprint by about 3/4. And that's a huge drop in your personal, footprint. And I'll share this with you, ma'am.
Yes.
And then you can share it with all of them. And I think the answer to the climate crisis is not technical, but more so your mindset. So if your mindset is switched to the sustainable mode of living, I think, like I said, the climate crisis will be of the past. And we can leave the world, having handed over the world in a very responsible way for us.
Yeah. And if I have the permission to paraphrase, I think I say that climate change can be best tackled by behavior change. When we change our behavior, we change our future, we change everything. So requesting everyone to, adopt habits and embrace it, not just talk about it, embrace it. Like I haven't been ever be seen without my bottle for I don't know last how many years. So it's like part of my character or part of me. So there are some things that you don't change because you believe in it. I don't want to buy a single-use plastic bottle and uh, I should be able to proudly say that I don't have anything that is my waste on the landfill. If everyone can claim that, then I guess we will all be contributing, really contributing.
I think all of us here should visit a landfill to exactly know what we are doing.
People in Punjab have done it.
Because
Yes.
I have literally seen penguins die in Antarctica because of a warmer climate. So that has really taken me aback because without no fault of theirs, they are dying. And who's the culprit behind that? Us. We are 1,000 kilometers away from that continent, but we are causing a lot of damage over there, and probably in every part of the world. So, seeing is believing. Please visit a landfill to know exactly the kind of damage you and I are doing, and then probably that triggers that switch in your mind, and then we do what is needed. Right.
Yes. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Avinash. Take care. All the best.
Thank you so much.
Bye-bye. Lovely session.
Thank you.
Take care. Bye.